I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply. Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Carly, I'm curious, which of the Southern side dishes from this episode would you have been most interested in?
I'm really interested in the cabbage dish, if I'm being honest, because everyone seemed so obsessed with it. Plus, I really like cabbage, but there's just, I'm just so intrigued by why they were so obsessed. What about you?
Yeah, same. Going into it, the cabbage wouldn't have been my top pick. So probably I love like rice and beans. So the red beans and rice would have been probably my top option. But when I saw the cabbage dishes, I was like, that is something I would order on a menu. That looked so good. And we'll get into it later. I've got some thoughts on it, but yeah, that looked delicious.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of them looked really good. I like the versatility of hoe cakes, though I think that it's maybe hard to make it a main dish, but I'd eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought they could have made it like almost like a sandwich bread or something, and maybe made I don't know, a burger or something fun with that. But yeah, the hoe cake sounded amazing too. But yeah, I agree. The main dish aspect of that might have been challenging.
Welcome everybody to episode 4 of Track Your Knives. We're here with the power rankings, the fantasy leagues, all of these different points and just thinking about how this relates to how we watch this show that we all love. So this is your spoiler warning. If you have not seen episode 4, go do that, then come back to us.
Yes. Listening to recap podcasts before you watch the actual episode is a don't do. So make sure you do that first. Otherwise, you're going to find out what happens. So it's a good spoiler warning. Love it. So let's jump into our reactions for this episode first before we get into all of the power rankings. I didn't have any follow-ups noted from last episode, but I did want to continue our saga of Instagram interactions with the chefs, which has been so fun this season. So last week, you and I wore our Green Gang sweatshirts, and afterwards decided to do a little self-care and get our face masks out and take some pictures. And so I don't think either of us liked the first masks we chose. And so we did a second round and then ended up posting them on Instagram. And Oscar, officially or unofficially, you'll have to weigh in the comments, invited us as part of the Green Gang. So how do you feel about that?
I feel honored. If you're not, follow Pack Your Knives, and I'm at Carly Subear, and Kendra is at find_top chef. So we've got a lot of extra content there, but it is so much fun to have those back and forths with the chefs. It really feels, I don't know, like we're part of the community and they're part of our community, which is one of the reasons why I love Pack Your Knives so much, is that sense of community, and why you and I were like, yeah, let's figure out how to do this fantasy league and power rankings and get people involved. Plus, it seems like, and I think I said this episode 1 or something, Lawrence seems to really love data.
Yes.
So I think he's one of us.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Rhoda might have called him a nerd, but
with
hey,
love,
haters gonna hate. Yes, yes. Yeah, and at the end of this episode was so sad with Brittany going home, and I know she was part of the Green Gang, and Rhoda was clearly upset, and that broke my heart, like seeing all of that.
Same. That was hard. That was hard to watch.
Yeah. And speaking of Pack Your Knives being part of the Top Chef community, Tom was in this week's episode. I was trying to spot him, but I was also taking notes, so I probably missed if he popped up on camera, but I'm sure
he did, but just his, like, hit the side and back of his head. So if you're watching the episode again, Tom Haberstroh of Pack Your Knives, he is, if like the chefs are talking, right, and they're facing the camera at the long table, he's at the equivalent of a clock at like 1 o'clock. So in the back right at the head of a table. And so you can see him. And it was really fun to be like, it's our Tom.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. And I haven't had a chance to listen to their podcast yet since we're recording the day after. But I'm excited to hear what Tom's thoughts were on all of the food too. Because this episode, like, there's so much of the food that I would have been so excited about. Like, everything looked really good. And so, yeah, definitely interested in how it actually tasted, and hearing his inputs from it. So other things on the episode, what kind of stood out for you?
I wanted to know if they had some lessons or guidance about how to pick the freshest vegetables and produce, or if they, as chefs, just have already learned that skill. I don't necessarily watch cooking shows to learn, though I have learned a lot over the years, but that's something where I was like, oh, it would have been nice to hear how what the best, but I mean, I guess it's different, right? Whether you're taking okra off the vine versus in the grocery store. So maybe it actually wouldn't have been that applicable anyway. But I love seeing them on, out and about. And unlike in season 16 in Kentucky, when they had to grow their own food and later on had to use that, like, this felt really purposeful and centered in Carolinian culture. So I really liked that.
Yeah. And I loved seeing Sherry and Wisdom from Deep Roots Farm and hearing their story. And I'm like such a nerd about like farming and regenerative farming. And so seeing their story and hearing that, I have this like dream at some point in my life. So I grew up on a farm and we had cattle, and my dad since retired and sold that all. But I'd love to like go back to the farm and like have it be a regenerative farm growing vegetables and flowers and things. So that's like the grand maybe retirement dream, who knows? But yeah, I just love like getting into that and hearing their stories. And like Tristan is such an amazing storyteller. Like, it was so nice to have him back this episode, and just the way he interacts with the chefs and like how he just presents things, and like the critiques that he gave. It was just, I loved seeing him on that side of the table. This episode, it was just, he did an amazing job, and I hope they like continue to bring him back in the future.
I agree. Very much so. I think sometimes like, last week's episode or is that episode 2 at Supperland, with Jamie, like we heard from him a little bit, but not as in depth as with Tristan. And so this time around, like with Tristan, I really liked hearing how much he had to say. Yeah,
I agree. I think the last thing we wanted to talk about for this episode is okra. That was a hot topic. So curious how many people got the bonus question right. So as a reminder, the bonus question this past week was, how many times will Tom or the chefs mention how many times Tom hates okra? So I'm curious, where did everyone land?
Yeah, so the correct answer was 4. And on average, the community was pretty spot on with an average of 4.7. But the
good.
range, y'all, was from 0 to 17. And I'm like, you're trolling me, right? Like 17. But, that's fine. If you don't want the points, you don't want the points. Better for me. So 24 people got the bonus question right. And 2 folks who I think, one of whom you're going to give a shout out to in a little bit, but 2 people have gotten 2 out of the 4 bonus questions correct.
Wow.
Filio and Serafina. I guess it's technically 2 out of the 3 bonus questions, since in episode 2, the answer was no one, and that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
And the question being like, who's going to name drop a famous chef first, and no one did. So they've got a really good record, those 2.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I put 8, and I almost counted when Tom just went bleh at the table. I was like, I think that counts, but he didn't verbally say it, so we'll keep that off. But yeah, I mean, that was bold of Seeger to be like, you know what? No one picked okra. I'm going to do it. And it paid off. So I think it definitely sometimes pays off to really take a risk here and do something a lot different than everyone else. And like what he made just sounded insane. So it was funny to see him win this episode. Okay. Power rankings. This was a rough week. But it was rough. It was good for everyone and rough for everyone equally, I think. So it actually like kind of balanced out. But I was looking at the numbers earlier. So I dropped 4 spots. And so I'm technically in like 20th with ties. And then you dropped 9 spots with in like 38th with ties ish. So we're getting a little bit further apart.
I'm really bad at this. This is the second episode for me where I have put the eliminated chef higher in my rankings than the chef that has won.
Oh, it's rough.
And so that's part of why I'm falling, and that's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think I need to stop reading into the Jennifer shoulder situation. Mm-hmm. But I just keep waiting for that scene from the trailer where like they ask her, are you okay to continue? And I'm like, so I put Jennifer at the bottom being like, she's going to go home.
Yeah. Same. I really thought she was going to come out of the stew room and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to go home. Like, I thought that was going to happen this episode. And I was like, because I ended up moving her up because I'm like, I'm tired of reading into the edit. I'm going to move them up. I don't think she's going to go home. And then she almost went home, not because of the shoulder. Anyway, but yeah, I had Brittany last, but then I had Seeger in 11th. So I didn't do that great. And I had like moved him up and down for a while, but he's always been towards the bottom for me. So now I don't know what to do next episode, but we can get into that. Yes. But enough about us. How did everyone else do in predicting who was going to win, who was going to get eliminated this week?
Well, you said it at the beginning. This was a rough episode for a lot of people. Literally only one person correctly said that Seeger had put them Seeger as the most likely to win the elimination. So huge congrats to DAP 18. Literally the only person out of 140 players.
That's crazy.
Huge. And only 3 players, so only an additional 2 folks, in addition to DAP 18, put Seeger in their top 3 at all. And that's Top Scallop and MKBC 72. So very few people were getting a lot of points from the winner of the elimination challenge.
Yeah.
And, We were talking last
included.
week how like Seeger has been kind of nearish the bottom, but in the middle, and we're
Mhm.
not really sure why. So it was really cool to see him do very well. This isn't quite about power rankings, but seeing the chefs in the Green Gang, if you watch really closely, you can see them be tasters for each other. And there was I think it was Oscar and Seeger who were tasting each other's foods. And I was listening to Tom and Sarah, and they were saying like having those people who you can, well, Sarah was saying the people that you can really trust. And so we're really starting to see that come out, and I'm really happy for Seeger. And for DAP 18 being the only one to get it correct.
Yeah. Congrats, DAP 18. Yeah. I mean, he had a great episode. He also was the quickfire win with the team. He's the one that suggested eggs. And when he said eggs, I was like, with wine? Like, never. And I drink a lot of wine, and I was like, eggs is like the last thing I would pair with them. But that like peach dish that he made with eggs, like, I don't even understand that. But I was like, yeah, sign me up. Like, I will eat that. And the rest looked great too. But yeah, that was like a great week for him. So I'm thinking next week we probably see him move up quite a few steps as someone who, like, he's just maybe been trying to find his footing in this, and it feels like he's kind of figured some of that out. So it'll be interesting to see like where he lands next week. Just based on, like, I think he's kind of figuring it out. So that'll be really great. And then we also talked about eliminations. This one is crazy. So how many people got Brittany right?
61. So that's just under half of people correctly put her as the most likely to be eliminated. And then more than 70%. Again, had the eliminated chef in their bottom three. And that was the same as last week as well, when Nana went home. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this was interesting because it makes me feel like the edit is doing a good job showing us who's struggling.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that so many of us were able to correctly guess sort of like 2 weeks in a row, especially, that these folks were going to be going home. For the first 2 episodes, it was a total shit show in terms of like under 20% of people had the eliminated chef in their bottom 3. Like very, very different, these 2 episodes. And so it makes me think about like how much harder it is to like create a narrative around the winning chef who we don't know along the way, while still highlighting other people, but making sure the eliminated chefs get their stories out there. So that's I don't know, something I've been struggling with. And speaking of the edit, if you haven't yet, head on over to packyourknives.com or Instagram at packyourknives to check out some confessional analysis, right? So speaking of the edit, who we're seeing the most and in which episodes. I also I really liked how Tom made it clear that being on Top Chef is a different skill than being a chef. Because I imagine there's some ego hurt that happens being on the show, and having Tom be like, I've been to your restaurant. It is fantastic, Brittany. And she still gets eliminated. Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine like these competition shows just aren't for everyone, especially like they only had 90 minutes this time. I feel like this season they've been getting like pretty short cook time. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but yeah, it just felt like a short cook time, and doing all of that and with equipment you're not familiar with. Like, I think it might've been her that mentioned like going into a kitchen that you don't know with equipment that's not your equipment and trying to figure that out, like in those 90 minutes, like that's just really tough. And some people are really great at thinking on their feet and pivoting. And I don't remember who said it, but like you should have a plan and a backup plan and a backup plan for your backup plan, and not having that ready to go. Like that's just a different way of thinking. And it's like you said, for some people, not for everyone. And so it's sad to see them just like so down on themselves, like trying to do these competition shows and not figuring them out. But yeah, I think that was like nice of Tom to mention that. I think it's like an important point. But yeah, I think that like it will be interesting next episode because there's maybe a few that are kind of clearly getting an edit that they're like a little bit lower, but they're not disaster chefs. Like they haven't been struggling the whole time. They've had ups and downs. And I was looking, I think Justin and Oscar are the only two that haven't had an elimination top. But I think Oscar's been performing really well. I was trying to look up.
Yeah.
But he's one of the top performers that like hasn't yet made the top. And so like, I'm curious too, for him, but I think he's getting like a great edit. And if he goes, I might riot because his commentary is really making this season. But yeah, I think next episode's going to be like, I think the numbers are going to be a lot more all over the place potentially, especially when we get into this next section, because this actually surprised me.
Hello, listener. Producer Mays here to talk to you about the perfect gene. Allow me to be vulnerable here for a minute. As you may or may not know, I've got a lot of childhood trauma, and it almost entirely centers around buying pants. As a lifelong sufferer of tall man syndrome, I've never been able to find a pair of pants that fit in the store. I had to go to those special freak stores, places with more X's than an adult video store. It was a nightmare. But now, the perfect gene has entered my life. They've got 6 fits, a size range from 26 to 50-inch waists, and lengths up to 38, giving you 5,000 plus ways to find your perfect match. So it's not just for my fellow sufferers of TMS, that's tall man syndrome, but thick thigh kings can find their perfect jeans as well. And for a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order plus free shipping at theperfectgene.nyc, or just Google The Perfect Gene and use code DINGS15 for 15% off. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code DINGS15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Fuck your khakis and get the perfect gene. Hello, listener. Producer Mays here to talk to you about Quince Cookware. I know cooking can feel like a lot of work these days, especially when the temptation to order takeout is stronger than ever. But trust me when I say that quality cookware makes a big difference in your experience cooking at home. Quince has got top-tier pots and pans, like my favorite, the extremely versatile and easy-to-clean 3-quart stainless steel sauté pan that you'd expect to find at a luxury store, but for 50 to 60% less. You heard me right. High-quality materials for half the price. How could such a thing be possible? Well, Quince works directly with manufacturers, cutting out the middlemen and passing the savings on to you. Now, Quince even carries fine wine, from Napa Valley Vineyards to Dom Perignon Champagne, enough to fill the Nile. Ho-ho! So what are you waiting for? Upgrade your kitchen with Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Get 2 times membership rewards points per dollar on eligible purchases in key business categories, as well as on each eligible purchase of $5,000 or more, on up to $2 million in eligible purchases per calendar year. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
So who did users have as most likely to win this challenge? Like, who was at the top?
Yeah. So this, over half, 73 players put Anthony as most likely to win the elimination challenge. I think that people are just hungry for him to win, and they just like him so like him
number one
so much. Yeah. And so, I mean, just by far and away, everyone's like, one day soon, Anthony's going to get it. So 73, over half. And then the following three folks had between 12 and 20 people choosing them as their winner, and no one choosing them as the most likely to be eliminated, which is Lawrence, then Oscar, then Brandon. I would also put sort of Rhoda with them, even though one person put her as most likely to be eliminated. She's similar to Brandon in that she's got 11 people who chose her as most likely to win, and Brandon had 12. So, it is kind of tight. And but that's 73.
That I was shocked by that because I think he was in the top last week. But Lawrence and Rhoda have been doing so well that I would I get people maybe are like, well, Lawrence is unlikely to win 2 in a row and Rhoda's already won 2. So maybe you're kind of hedging your bets by putting them a little bit lower. But I was surprised that Anthony was over half of the top ranking. So next week, again, it will be really interesting to see where things shake out, especially with Anthony landing at the bottom this week. I think because I probably read way too much into this too, but I think he cooks really good food. I don't know that he molds to the challenges as well as some of the other chefs. I think Lawrence does a great job, Rhoda, Oscar, Brandon. I think they really comprehend the challenges and cook to that. Because they even said it during the quick fire, Dwayne picked oh my gosh. Dwayne picked the wines out and it was basically cook whatever food you want and I'll pair everything together. Yeah. And so I'm going to keep him at 1 because I'm going to die on this hill. But I'm very curious to see how it shakes out next week.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's for Fantasy League. I'll say that later. In terms of the power rankings, it's interest. I lost my train of thought. Do you have a question for me?
That's okay. So one question for you. That's okay. We've got a lot of data in here. Sherry, she was at the top. I thought she was getting a going home edit this episode. I
thought she was getting a winning edit.
Really?
I turned to my partner and I was like, Alex, Sherry's winning this challenge because she had the first confessional of the episode. She had not a call home, but she had the voice or the video message with her son. That's so funny. We had the exact opposite.
I know. I feel
reaction.
Sometimes they do that because they pull at your heartstrings and then they go home. So that's funny. But where she, I feel is always just kind of sitting towards the middle. And I know last week she kind of struggled in the challenge, but oh my gosh, that potato salad looked so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the power rankings, she's remained at 8th for the second week in a row, which in a way is a little bit worse than last week because last week she was 8th out of 13. And this time she's 8th out of 12. And so she's, as people as chefs get eliminated, the people on the bottom are going to move up in the rankings. And the fact that she hasn't moved really just indicates she's just in the middle. No one chose her to win, as most likely to win. 13 people put her as most likely to be eliminated. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. There's not too much to say beyond that she's sort of in that middle bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was good that Tom said, like, this is the only person he's mentioned it about, is like, he can tell what her food is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because last week she did kind of this deconstructed pork and the spetzel. I think it's spetzel. Yeah. And this week she did potatoes a couple different ways, kind of still this like deconstructed look to it. And so I thought that was interesting that he mentioned that he can tell like what food is hers when it comes out. So I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see where she ends up landing. And then I think before we move on to next week, the only other thing I had, so the cabbage dish we mentioned was the one from Dwen. I was just like, oh my gosh, that was like
good.
And I think one of the comments was like, it was innovative. And so I was really bummed that she didn't get a top place for that dish. Cause oh man, that would have been, out of all of them, like the one I probably would have picked to eat. It looked so good.
Yeah. I loved Dwen. I also love people's reaction to Brandon being like, I felt great.
Oh yeah.
And it really harkened back to episode 1 when Kristen asked which twin was the better chef, and Brandon raised his hand and Jonathan said, we'll see. So that just seems to be a theme, but like, you know, he's doing really quite well. He's never been in the bottom.
Yeah, him and Lawrence have never been in the bottom
for elimination challenges. So, you know, it is well deserved.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So looking forward to next week, I'm going to tell you, I am so confused by the premiere or the preview. There's children. There were zip lines. Are we finally going to get to see the whitewater rafting? There was a mention of dehydrated food. So I was like, how are we fitting all of these activities into this episode? So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I want to know, are they dehydrating the food themselves, or are they using dehydrated food to make something?
Yeah.
Like, are they all like, is someone going to make salmon jerky? Like, I want to know what the textures are going to be. Like, I don't know that we've seen a dehydrator challenge.
No. Yeah. And like, what are you going to make with that? Like, I could get it as a quick fire. I can't figure out like what that's going to be as a main. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. It seems like the kids are at the quick fire, which I guess is maybe good. So people aren't overthinking. Like, I don't know. What is that, season 1, the kid challenge in the cafeteria, and, you know, they're making monkfish fish sticks, and one team's doing really hoity-toity and the other one's doing like kind of basic. And I don't know if this is what this is going to be besides like feeding kids. I don't know.
I don't either. But I guess we'll see. We'll have to wait till next week.
Yeah.
So impatient. I want to know all of the answers now. Well, what about fantasy leagues? I think the one note I have is, hey, we've got a normal week this week. No half the chefs landing in the bottom. Were there other notable things that you wanted to call out about the fantasy league scoring, just around like where the chefs are at, how things are looking points wise?
Yeah. Justin had his first positive points since episode 1. I mean, we've only had 4, so but he is back in the black. He has 1 point. So that is an accomplishment. He's now above 0. Seeger, his whole episode just straight, you know, he got 13 points, right?
Yeah.
So
the best he can do.
Yeah, exactly. I like, and I think we talked about this in episode 1 of Track Your Knives, where people were doing desserts when they didn't have to. And that's something he did this episode as well. He did a dessert when he didn't have to. Also, and I think Jennifer and Justin all worked together before, or at least were like friends. Like that was news to me.
Yeah,
that was
they just dropped that in episode 4 that they all know that they know him. Like, okay.
Yeah, Justin's shorts,
Oh my God.
the shorter the shorts, the more points, I guess.
I guess so. That I was laughing when they put the cast photos out and I was like scrolling through them and then I'm like, that guy wearing shorts? And then I didn't really like pay attention to it. And then like 2 episodes ago, I'm like, wait, he's just is he always wearing shorts? And then now that is his thing. So we know for sure. Have you ever cut your jeans into jorts?
Only once they have massive holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that Justin calls Jennifer Pickle. It makes their Instagram handle make more sense. But because one of my cats is named Pickles, I have a feeling that upcoming posts on Instagram are probably going to involve Pickles' face because he's really cute. And then I can pretend like it's on point.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm on board with that. Maybe my dogs can sneak in and we'll find a spot for them. I did absolutely terrible in fantasy leagues this week. So I think I'm now -3 points with Brittany going home and Anthony not having a great week. So I think I'm in like 6th place in my league. Okay. And my friend that has Lawrence on her team has now renamed her team to the winner. And so that I noticed that when I looked at it last night. So that really hurt.
Rude.
So, yeah, I know. But I know you've been like looking across a lot of the fantasy leagues. So is there anything interesting that you're seeing besides? We'll have to talk about Tom and Sarah's league as well, because oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping to that. 3 of the 4 eliminated chefs have been from Tom's team. So Tom has 4 chefs left and Sarah has 6. And she's got some really great, I mean, I really like all of the chefs, but Tom is very much hurting. When we look at other teams or other leagues where there are 7 chefs on a team, Sarah is crushing it by 15 points.
That's wild.
She is just crushing it. Ring mold on my plate from League Our Dear Friends and Please Pack Your Knives and Stay from the Top Scallop League are the ones who are 15 points behind Sarah. And then unfortunately left my heart with Massimo from Pack Your Knives 2 is... Oh, wait, that's a team of 5. Just kidding. Ignore that statement. This is, Team Tom is at the very bottom. So that's been tough.
Does he has like 2 points or does he have negative points?
He has 3.
3. Oh man. Yeah. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, but he's got Anthony, Dwen, Oscar, and Jennifer. So I think at least Anthony and Dwen are probably staying power. I think Oscar and Jennifer for an undetermined amount of time. Yeah. And then when I'm looking at the standardized scores of, taking into account how many chefs are on each team, team 3 of the season 23 Top Chef Food Bowl is winning, followed by team 5 of Team Bramer and Nora's team on Sounders of the Sauté. Those 2 teams are teams of 2, like yours and my friend leagues. And so they're crushing us. They're doing good.
Woof. Yeah. That's great. Congrats, guys. And I feel like everyone's stepping up their team names who've maybe heard us just name like team 3 or team 5. So these are fantastic. And I love Please Pack Your Knives and Stay. That's very adorable.
Right. That's so nice.
I love it. Awesome. I think that's it. Anything else about the episode or the power rankings that we missed this week?
Well, Last Chance Kitchen has started, and you and I haven't talked about this, but I do think that we should not provide points for Last Chance Kitchen until they come back, because I don't know if our listeners are going to be watching. I did watch, and I was really happy to have it back. But yeah, that's the only thing about fantasy leagues that I was, and power ranking. It doesn't affect power rankings, just fantasy league that I wanted to touch on.
Okay. Yeah. I have it hidden to not show the scores yet, so we should be good, but I will double check that those don't randomly pop up in the system so no one gets spoiled. I'm curious what episode they'll end up bringing them back in on, because that could be a really long Last Chance Kitchen if they wait until further in. Yeah, I'm going to guess. Ooh, this is fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is fun. Okay. I'm going to guess that at final 7, they bring someone back, and so it becomes a final 8 again. And then do Restaurant Wars? Yeah, that's my guess. That's a great guess. Can I just take your answer? No, I'll go episode 6. Why not? Okay, that's in 2 weeks. Sorry, 6 left. Oh, 6 left. Okay. I don't know what episode that is. Yeah, it depends on if there's a double. Yeah. The other thing about scoring that I wanted to say is that I think when the system for power rankings was first set up, there might have been some issues where people could submit power rankings for an episode after the episode aired. So there might be some modifications. And it might affect leaderboard. I'm so sorry. We'll be posted. But please, pretty please, submit your rankings on time. Yes. I just forgot. I wanted to shout out 2 players who just shot up the rankings this week. So Filio jumped 20 points, and then our friend Top Scallop jumped 30 spots in the rankings, which is wild. That is a massive swing. And I think those who had Seeger much higher saw some of those big jumps. And so congrats to both of you. And I think that's it. So just a reminder, as Carly said, don't forget to submit your rankings on findtopchef.com. That's find-topchef.com. I always send reminder emails, but make sure you get those in 5 minutes before the episode airs East Coast time. This upcoming week, we're going to play off the kids theme. And so hopefully the answer is not none, but we'll see. So the bonus question is, how many chefs will have pictures or videos of their kids shown? So their own kids shown in this episode. And then don't forget, Tom and Sarah do an amazing episode recap this week, extra special since Tom was there, and you'll get to hear from him about the food. But make sure you go to packyourknives.com for that. Also, Carly has been doing a ton of different analysis on there as well. So go to packyourknives.com for those insights too. It's always fun to see all of that. And on that note, do you want to sign us off? I do. And this has been Track Your Knives.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.